Have you ever looked at your cat and thought, "Why are you upset when I was only trying to love you?" That quiet moment confuses so many cat owners. You reach out with affection, and your cat pulls away. You try to be close, and suddenly they seem tense, distant, or annoyed. It feels personal, but most of the time it is not rejection. It is communication. Cats do not explain their boundaries the way humans do. They do not argue. They do not warn you with words. They speak through distance, eye contact, body tension, routine, and tiny changes in behavior that are easy to miss if you do not know what to look for. And when those signals are misunderstood again and again, the damage goes deeper than one uncomfortable moment. Your cat may not just feel stressed. They may begin to feel less safe with you, less understood, less willing to trust. The truth is, cats are not difficult. They simply live by a set of quiet rules. Rules that tell them who feels safe, what feels respectful, and when love starts to feel like pressure. In this video, we are going to uncover those unspoken rules your cat wishes you understood, because sometimes the fastest way to become closer to your cat is not to love them more, but to understand them better. One of the quietest ways cats build trust is by choosing you first. That choice matters more than many people realize. When a cat walks into your space on their own, brushes against your leg, or settles beside you without being called, they are not just looking for attention. They are making a decision. In that moment, they are telling you that your presence feels safe enough to approach. This is why forced affection so often backfires, even when it comes from love. A cat may tolerate being picked up, held in place, or pulled into a cuddle, but tolerance is not the same as comfort. What looks calm on the outside can still feel stressful on the inside. And when that happens often enough, your cat may begin to associate closeness with pressure instead of security. The emotional difference is small to us, but huge to them. A hand that waits feels very different from a hand that insists. If you pay attention, you will notice that cats often test the emotional safety of an interaction before fully relaxing into it. They may come close, pause, study your body language, and decide whether to stay. They may lean in for one stroke, then stop. They may jump onto the couch beside you, but not onto your lap. These are not mixed signals. They are careful signals. Your cat is measuring whether this moment still belongs to them too. And that is where many bonds quietly deepen or quietly weaken. When you let a cat approach without rushing to grab them, they learn that closeness with you is safe. When you stop petting the moment their body says enough, they learn that their boundaries will be respected. When they can leave without being followed, pulled back, or guilted into staying, they learn something even more important. They learn that love with you does not come with a trap. That kind of safety changes a cat over time. A guarded cat may begin lingering longer. A hesitant cat may start returning more often. A cat that once kept their distance may begin sitting nearer, resting more deeply, or seeking you out at moments when they feel vulnerable. Not because they suddenly became more affectionate by nature, but because they discovered that being close to you does not cost them control. And for a cat, that matters deeply. So the first unspoken rule is not just let me come to you. It is also this: if I trust you enough to come close, do not turn that trust into pressure. Protect the softness of that moment. Let it stay gentle. Let it stay chosen. Because for many cats, love does not begin when you hold them tighter. It begins when they realize they are still free in your arms, in your presence, and in your care. Another rule cats wish more people understood is this: silence is not the same as consent. A cat does not need to hiss, swat, or bite for something to be too much. Long before that moment, Their body is usually already trying to end the interaction in a quieter way. The problem is that humans often miss those softer signals because they are waiting for something dramatic. But cats usually do not start with drama. They start with restraint. You may see it in the tail first, a small flick that seems easy to ignore. Then the ears shift slightly to the side. The body loses its softness. The eyes sharpen. The head turns away. Sometimes the skin along the back twitches. Sometimes the cat licks their nose, lowers their posture, or freezes for a second in a way that feels subtle unless you are really paying attention. Those moments matter, because what your cat is really saying is not, "I suddenly hate you." It is, "I am reaching my limit. Please notice before I have to say it louder." This is where trust can quietly break down. Not in the obvious moments, but in the repeated ones. The extra pet after your cat already leaned away. The second pickup after their body stiffened. The kiss on the head after they clearly tried to create space. None of these actions may seem cruel to a human heart, but to a cat, being ignored when they are trying to say enough can feel deeply unsettling. And over time, that changes the relationship. A cat who feels unheard may begin leaving sooner. They may stop asking for contact as often. They may become more watchful when your hand moves toward them. Some cats become irritable. Others become distant. Some simply stop offering the small, vulnerable moments they once shared. That is why learning your cat's early signs is not a small skill. It is one of the most loving things you can do. The goal is not to wait for your cat to defend themselves. The goal is to become so attentive that they rarely need to stop while the moment still feels safe, to let your cat discover that their smallest signals are enough with you. And when a cat learns that, something beautiful happens. They begin to relax more deeply. They do not have to stay braced for the moment affection turns into pressure. They do not have to choose between enduring contact and escaping it. They start to believe that being understood is possible. So this second unspoken rule goes beyond noticing discomfort. It is really about honoring the first whisper. Because the more carefully you listen to the quiet "no," the more likely your cat will trust you with a wholehearted yes. The next rule is one people often overlook because, to us, it seems so small. But to a cat, small changes can feel enormous. Humans often refresh a space without thinking twice. We move a food bowl to a better corner. We replace a blanket. We shift a litter box because it looks nicer somewhere else. We bring in new furniture, new scents, new sounds, new routines. To us, these are just adjustments. To a cat, they can feel like the quiet collapse of a map they depended on. Cats do not experience home the way we do. They do not simply recognize a house as one whole place. They remember it in pieces. The safe path past the hallway. The quiet chair near the window. The place where they can eat without feeling exposed. The corner where your scent lingers. The shelf that lets them observe without being seen. These details are not random comforts. They are part of how a cat knows the world is still predictable. And predictability matters more to cats than many people realize. When familiar patterns keep shifting, a cat may not understand whether the change is harmless or whether something more serious is happening. That uncertainty creates stress. Sometimes it shows up clearly. A cat may hide more, startle more easily, or become unusually clingy. Other times it appears in quieter ways. They sleep less deeply. They patrol more. They hesitate before entering a room they once walked through without thinking. They begin checking the environment instead of relaxing inside it. That is why behavior changes after a move, a renovation, a guest staying over, or the arrival of another animal are not signs that a cat is being difficult. Very often, they are signs that the cat is trying to recover a sense of certainty. Even something as ordinary as moving the litter box or changing where meals happen can matter more than we expect. These are not just objects to a cat. They are anchors. When too many anchors shift at once, your cat may feel like the world is no longer speaking a language they know. This is also why gradual change is so powerful. When a cat is allowed to adjust step by step, they have time to rebuild that internal map. They can compare what stayed the same with what changed. They can test the new version of their world without feeling as though everything disappeared overnight. So this rule is not just do not change things. Life changes, homes change, routines change. The deeper rule is this: do not strip away familiarity faster than your cat can adapt. Keep some landmarks steady. Let there be known smells, known corners, known rhythms, known comforts. Because to a cat, safety is not only about love, it is also about recognition. It is the relief of knowing where things are, what happens next, and which parts of the world still make sense. And when you protect that sense of continuity, you give your cat something profoundly calming. You give them the feeling that even when life shifts, they have not lost their footing inside it. Another unspoken rule is this: if your cat disappears for a while, do not assume the bond is broken. Sometimes retreat is not rejection at all. It is recovery. Cats live with a level of sensory awareness that many humans never fully see. A busy room, a loud voice, a visitor who means well, a child who wants to play. Even a long stretch of interaction that looked harmless on the surface can build up inside a cat faster than we expect. And when that happens, many cats do something very wise. They remove themselves before the stress grows any bigger. That is not avoidance in the way humans often imagine it. It is regulation. A cat who slips under the bed, climbs to the top of a shelf, disappears into a closet corner, or curls into a favorite box may not be trying to shut you out. They may be trying to settle their nervous system in the only way that feels safe to them. In that moment, solitude is not loneliness. It is relief. This is where people often make the wrong move for the right reason. They worry the cat is scared, antisocial, or becoming distant, so they follow, coax, reach in, pull the cat out, or keep trying to re-engage them. But when a cat has already chosen retreat, turning that refuge into another place where hands can reach them defeats the whole purpose of hiding. A safe place only works if it stays safe. That is why a quiet corner matters so much. Not just as a physical spot, but as a promise. A promise that your cat can step away without being chased, that they can pause without being pressured, that they can go still without being made to perform comfort for someone else. And when cats trust that promise, they often return on their own much sooner. This is the part people miss. Respecting retreat does not make a cat more distant. It often makes them more secure. Because a cat who knows they are allowed to leave is a cat who is less afraid to come back. A cat who has a protected place to decompress does not have to stay on edge all day. They can reset, breathe, and re-enter the world when they are ready. Over time, that changes the emotional tone of the whole home. Your cat becomes less cornered, less defensive, less likely to feel that every interaction is something they must endure. They begin to understand that space is available when they need it, and that your love does not follow them into every shadow. So this fourth rule is deeper than just let your cat hide. It is this: give your cat at least one place where nothing is asked of them. No touching, no coaxing, no social pressure, just quiet, privacy, and the freedom to exist without being watched too closely. Because sometimes the kindest form of love is not drawing your cat closer. It is protecting the place where they can put themselves back together, and trusting that when they feel whole again, they will come back on their own. The fifth rule is one many cats feel long before humans ever notice it. Your presence has a texture. To you, walking toward your cat may feel normal. Reaching down may feel affectionate. Looking directly at them may feel attentive. But cats are extremely sensitive to the energy inside movement. They notice whether you arrive softly or suddenly, whether your body is loose or tense, whether your attention feels calm or intense. That is why two people can do almost the same thing and get completely different responses from the same cat. One person enters a room with relaxed shoulders, slower steps, and a gentle pause before getting close. The cat stays, maybe even leans in. Another person moves faster, bends over the cat too quickly, keeps their eyes fixed on them, and reaches out without waiting. The cat pulls back, flattens slightly, or leaves. Not because they are moody, but because the second interaction felt heavier. Cats read pressure in ways humans often underestimate. A direct approach can feel confrontational. A hand descending from above can feel looming. Sudden movement can feel unpredictable. Even excitement can be overwhelming if it arrives too fast. This is especially true for shy cats, older cats, newly adopted cats, or any cat that has learned to be cautious before trusting. And this is why softness is not just kindness. It is clarity. When you slow down, turn your body slightly instead of facing head-on, lower yourself without collapsing into their space, and let your eyes soften instead of locking on, you make yourself easier to understand. You stop feeling like a force and start feeling like a safe presence. For many cats, that changes everything. Sometimes the difference between a cat retreating and a cat staying is not what you offered, but how you offered it. The same hand can feel intrusive or reassuring. The same voice can feel sharp or soothing. The same moment can become either pressure or peace, depending on the emotional shape of your approach. And cats remember that shape. Over time, they learn what your footsteps mean. They learn whether your hand usually interrupts or comforts. They learn whether your gaze feels demanding or warm. In other words, they are not only learning who you are, they are learning how it feels when you arrive. So this rule is not just move slowly. It is more personal than that. Become easier for your cat to trust with your body, your rhythm, and your presence. Let your calm be something they can recognize before you ever touch them. Because sometimes love reaches a cat long before your hand does. It reaches them in the pause, in the softness, in the way you choose not to overwhelm them when you had the chance. The sixth rule is easy for humans to overlook because we live so much through sight. Cats do not. For a cat, scent is not just background, it is information. It tells them what belongs here, what changed, who has been near them, and whether the space still feels familiar. A room may look exactly the same to you, but to your cat, it can feel completely different the moment its smell changes. That is why scent marking matters so much. When your cat rubs their face against a chair, a doorway, your hand, or your legs, they are not only being affectionate, they are weaving familiarity into the world around them. They are reinforcing a sense of continuity. In a way, they are helping their environment feel readable again. This is also why certain reactions seem to come out of nowhere. You clean a favorite sleeping spot with a strong product. You come home carrying the scent of another animal. A guest arrives wearing heavy perfume. Fresh laundry replaces a blanket your cat used every day. Nothing looks wrong, but your cat may move more cautiously, sniff longer, hesitate before settling down, or avoid a place that used to feel easy. To humans, these can seem like tiny details. To cats, they can feel like the emotional tone of a place has shifted. And there is something touching about that when you really think about it. Your cat is not only memorizing your face or your routine. They are also memorizing your smell, the scent on the blanket where you sit, the familiar trace of your hands, the way home smells when everything feels normal. That invisible layer is part of what tells them they are safe, which means scent can comfort, but scent can also unsettle. This is why some cats rub on you more after you come home, why they inspect bags, shoes, jackets, and visitors so carefully, why a small change can hold their attention longer than you expect. They are not being overly sensitive. They are gathering the information they need to decide whether the world is still okay. So this rule is not just remember that cats have a strong sense of smell. It is this: do not dismiss invisible changes just because you cannot feel them the way your cat does. When possible, protect familiar scents. Let favorite bedding keep some of its identity. Be mindful with strong cleaners, heavy fragrances, and sudden smell changes in places your cat depends on. Because for a cat, safety is often carried in the air long before it is seen. And sometimes what helps them relax is not a new comfort at all, but the quiet return of a smell that tells them nothing important has been lost. The final rule may be the most important of all. Do not ask your cat to love you in a language that does not belong to them. This is where so many people misread the heart of a cat. They expect obvious affection. They look for enthusiasm, constant closeness, easy cuddles, and the kind of visible devotion that feels reassuring to a human. And when a cat does not respond that way, people sometimes assume the bond is weaker than it really is. But cats often love with far more subtlety than that. A cat who chooses to sleep at the foot of your bed may be telling you something deeply intimate. A cat who follows you from room to room without asking to be held may be saying, "I want to stay near you." A cat who sits beside your chair, waits outside the bathroom, watches you work, or rests in the same room while you go about your life may not be doing something small at all. They may be offering companionship in the exact way that feels safest and most sincere to them. And that matters, because love in a cat is often made of trust before it is made of display. When a cautious animal relaxes their body near you, that means something. When they let their guard down enough to nap in your presence, that means something. When they expose their routine, their vulnerable moments, their need for quiet, and still choose to keep you inside that world, that means something too. It may not be loud, it may not look dramatic, but it is real. This is why comparing cats to dogs so often leads people in the wrong direction. Dogs and cats can both love deeply, but they do not always show it through the same behaviors. If you keep measuring feline affection by how visible, how energetic, or how demanding it is, you may miss the gentlest signs of attachment completely. And those gentle signs are often the most honest ones. A cat does not have to climb into your arms to love you. They may love you by staying nearby, by greeting you at the door, and then walking away once they know you are home, by blinking slowly from across the room, by placing themselves where they can keep an eye on you, by returning to you after resting alone, by choosing your presence again and again in quiet, ordinary moments that do not look impressive from the outside. That is not lesser love. It is simply feline love. So this last unspoken rule is not just accept your cat for who they are. It is learn to recognize devotion in its quieter form. Stop waiting only for the kind of affection that flatters human expectations and start noticing the kind that grows from safety, familiarity, and trust. Because for a cat, love is not always a performance. Very often, it is permission. Permission for you to exist close to them. Permission for you to share their space, their rhythms, their guarded little world. And for an animal built to be careful, that permission can be one of the deepest gifts they know how to give. So what are the unspoken rules cats wish you would follow? Let them choose when closeness begins. Notice the small signals before they have to defend themselves. Protect the familiar things that help their world make sense. Give them a private place to retreat without interruption. Approach with softness, not intensity. Respect the invisible comfort of familiar scent. And above all, do not force them to love like someone they are not. Because the truth is, cats are not hard to love. What is hard is loving them without trying to rewrite them. The moment you stop asking why your cat is not showing love the way you expected and start asking what love looks like from their side, something shifts. The relationship becomes quieter, but deeper, gentler, but stronger, less about control and more about trust. And maybe that is what a cat has wanted from you all along. Not perfect behavior, not endless attention, just the feeling of being understood without having to fight for it. So tell me, which of these unspoken rules do you think your cat cares about the most?